Today's video, I want to take a look at Sony's plans for cloud streaming, and it really looks like they want to rival Google Stadia. That is going to be the standard bearer as far as cloud streaming is concerned, and all of these different companies are trying to get into cloud streaming from Microsoft. PlayStation, of course, already has PlayStation Now, but at this point, it's not really a service that has resonated with everyone, but it does look like Sony is going to try to expand cloud streaming, and that is where these companies are looking to in the future. Yes, next generation is still going to be digital downloads and physical hardware and physical copies of games. However, in the future, I think they do want to make the move to cloud streaming. Is that feasible? I'll be digesting all of that in a little bit. Also, we've been wondering on what exactly Ubisoft is going to be putting out. Of course, they have their E3 conference next month, and they're going to be announcing a lot of new games. They specifically have 3 unannounced AAA games that are scheduled to be released before the end of fiscal year 2020. That's by March of 2020. I imagine one of those games is Watch Dogs 3, and I have a pretty good hunch one of those other games is a new Splinter Cell, and there was a tweet putting out that kind of spilled the beans on a new Splinter Cell being in development. Ubisoft came out and said that that was just a joke. However, I feel like there's more than meets the eye with this one. We'll talk a little bit about that. And also, for those of you guys with PlayStation VR, hopefully you've played the great game known as Moss, and it is getting a free DLC chapter called Twilight Garden. It's going to be absolutely free, and it'll be dropping very soon. We'll talk that at the end of this video. I know it's a game that some of you guys aren't fully aware of, but it's a great game, and you should definitely know about it. Alright, first up, there's a lot to digest with what Sony's planning with cloud streaming in the future. I'll leave a link to Tech Radar in the description box down below, and they've got an in-depth breakdown on everything that you can expect. However, the patent itself does detail apparatus for recording application state over time while simultaneous recording application streaming interactive video output. The idea is that players could stream a game through a hosting server, so if you have a device that connects to the internet, be that a mobile device, console, or PC, you'll be able to connect to that server, and the game you're wanting to play will be streamed to your monitor or screen, allowing you to play using your preferred input device. Imagine Netflix for gaming. I think that's exactly where these companies want to take cloud streaming in the future. Look at how much money Netflix is making. Yes, they're also sinking a lot of money into Netflix, but in the future, the idea is profits will be absolutely insane. And I think from the vantage point of all of these different companies, they're thinking whoever can actually manufacture and create a compelling streaming service first, they'll be geared to make a ton of revenue headed into the future. Now, the question remains, there's a big difference between things like music, television shows, movies, and video games. Video games is an interactive entertainment property, very different than everything else that can be streamed very easily. Yes, you can watch videos on YouTube, and it's very convenient to stream videos like that. You don't have to download videos and watch them. Could you imagine that if YouTube was just a download server, and you were downloading the videos you want to watch, and you'd have to wait for the download and then watch it that way? That's essentially what we're doing with video games, but in the case of video games, we have to do that because there's no compelling streaming service at this point, and who knows if there ever will be a compelling streaming service that offers an experience that a box could do and that could be offered to everyone across the globe. I think that is the key factor. Yes, streaming can be done by some people. I personally can stream games with PlayStation Now if I have a wired connection with my PlayStation 4, and games, while I won't say they're as good as playing them natively, they're definitely playable and they're definitely enjoyable, and I don't even have the best internet in the world, but I have decent enough internet and probably internet that's better than the average person. So if you compare me to the average person, I'm getting a pretty good experience. But what about all of the other people? What about people with less than average internet? You can't just completely cut them out. You can't cut out the people with just average internet, whatever the case may be. You need to make this accessible for everyone, and in the case with gaming, I think people are still attached to actually downloading games, owning their physical copies. I think to actually migrate everyone over to a streaming platform, and you look at PlayStation Now, while it's been relatively successful, it's got about 700,000 subscribers right now. Do bear in mind that PlayStation Now really took off when they started offering PlayStation 4 game downloads. When it was just PlayStation 3 and PlayStation 4 game streaming, some people enjoyed the service, but overall it wasn't a service that flocks of people were subscribing to. Now, you can make an argument that it's a variety of different reasons on why people aren't subscribing to PS Now. Maybe the price point is too high. $19.99 a month is a tough sell, and if it was something like Game Pass where it was $9.99 a month and it did have more compelling games, if you actually had newer games like newer PlayStation 4 exclusives, could you imagine if games like God of War, Marvel, Spider-Man, The Last of Us Part 2, they just came out and they were a part of the streaming service right away and you were only paying $9.99 a month? Okay, then you probably have my attention, and I think that is the ultimate goal, to put all of these games as a part of the streaming service where anybody can access these games. But at the same time, if you do something like that, you are inherently lowering the value of games altogether. It's a really fine line that you have to walk, because I know you guys are thinking, okay, let me pay $9.99 a month, let me get all of these games. But at the same time, from a business standpoint, from Sony's standpoint, you have to price this service accordingly because you don't want to lessen the value of all of your games. I think that's an issue that Xbox will eventually have to come to deal with. Do you want to put all of your compelling first-party games as a part of a service that is only $9.99 a month? Do you want to lower the value of your first-party that hard? I don't know, that's something they'll have to wrestle with in the future, but in the case of streaming, I think we're a ways away. However, I think Sony is absolutely invested into streaming for the future. There's a reason they acquired Gaikai, there's a reason they continue to make these patents, and after the PlayStation 5, who knows, we might be in for a streaming future. I hope that necessarily isn't the case, but if the technology gets better and better, if it becomes accessible to more and more people, it is something I'd be open to. But let me know in the comments section down below. What would you guys think? I've heard crazy statements of people saying that they would give up gaming if everything went streaming based, and I do think there's a certain subsect of people that, yeah, they would give up gaming. I don't think that's the majority, especially again if they can make it as accessible as possible to the most amount of people possible. I do think people are going to become more and more open to it. Look, I think a couple years ago, a decade ago maybe, if you were going to say that the gaming world was going to move more towards digital downloads, people would be a little bit skeptical. But now you look at it, while physical games are still a big part of gaming, digital downloads are becoming more and more prevalent, and you see more and more games being exclusively released digitally. However, streaming and digital downloads, two completely different beasts and two completely different things to assess. I just wanted to make that comparison, but definitely let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. Alright, moving on from that, E3 is coming up, and we know that Ubisoft is going to be one of the main publishers at E3. With the absence of Sony and the absence of EA having a traditional conference, a lot of eyes and a lot of attention, I feel, are going to be on Ubisoft to really deliver with a great conference. We know that we're probably going to see Ghost Recon Wildlands. That game is nearing completion at this point, considering it is coming October, but we already know about that game. What we don't know about is 3 unannounced AAA games that are scheduled to be released by March 2020. I imagine that one of those games is Watch Dogs 3, one of those games is being codenamed Orpheus, and one of those games we know nothing about. However, at the Ubi Summit, an intoxicated Julian Greti told his followers that he's busy with something, and here's what he tweeted out. Quote, working on the next Splinter Cell with Dan Hay now and Rom Comer and Leon. Can't wait for E3 crossover with the crew too. Only missing Ghost Recon and Rainbow Six, but on their way. Hashtag Far Cry, hashtag For Honor, hashtag The Division 2, hashtag Rainbow Six Siege, hashtag Ghost Recon. Alright, so that was a little bit of a blunder. A spokesperson from Ubisoft said, quote, Julian was obviously joking, as Julian likes to do. It looks like our creative directors are having fun right now. We don't have any announcements to make at this time. That's a cruel joke. However, I do think there's more than meets the eyes with that statement. I do think we're in for a new Splinter Cell announcement come E3. This is something that I've been waiting on for a very long time. I loved Splinter Cell Blacklist, and yes, it did have an ill-timed release when it released back in August of 2013, right before the new consoles dropped. I think a lot of people were just looking forward to the new consoles and didn't give the game a chance, but the game was really good. And I would love to see a remaster of that game to get gamers reinvigorated into Splinter Cell ahead of the release of a new game. But I do think the announcement of a new game will be happening at E3, and I'm so excited for that. It's time for the return of Sam Fisher. Splinter Cell's been absent all this generation, and he deserves at least one outing in this console generation, so let's hope we get a lengthy gameplay demo at E3, and I think that is what's going to happen. In the case of this tweet, it's something funny, but I do think the bigger story is going to be at E3. And lastly, for those of you with PlayStation VR, you probably have played a game called Moss, and if you haven't, do yourself a service and pick that game up right now. It goes for $29.99, but it's been on sale cheaper. It's a great single-player action-adventure puzzle game. It's very charming, great story, and now a new chapter for the game is going to be released as free DLC called Twilight Garden. Coming from developer Polyarc, here's what they said about the new DLC. In Moss, players guide a young mouse hero named Quill while also manipulating the field of play as their own character. Together, you embark on an epic journey to save Quill's uncle. Along the way, you can now discover portals to the strange and vibrant Twilight Garden. Here, you're tested in new ways as mysterious presence prepares you for the dangers ahead. You'll explore vast chambers, discover unique weaponry, and face a new realm of puzzles and enemies. Success will require mastery from you both, but if achieved, could change what's believed possible for a partnership of your kind. So this is free DLC for Moss. You won't have to pay a cent for it, and given that this game came out all the way back in February of 2018, the fact that they're still updating it all this time later, that's great. And again, if you have PSVR, or you're looking to get PlayStation VR, this is one of the games you should definitely have on your radar to pick up right away. A great game, and now even more content coming to it. And that's gonna conclude this video. Again, it looks like Sony's gonna stick to cloud streaming, and it looks like they are gonna rival Google Stadia and try to take them on. I think the battle for cloud streaming and who can succeed on that level is going to be a big story to cover in the coming months and the coming years, really. It's gonna be a long-term thing where I don't think we're gonna see the true ramifications until, 4 or 5 years down the line. A Ubisoft developer kind of let the cat out of the bag that a new Splinter Cell is in development. A Ubisoft spokesperson came back and saying that they're just joking, but I do think we'll get an announcement at E3. And Moss is getting a free DLC, and it'll be dropping May 21st. That's gonna conclude this video. Sound off with all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.